Good morning. Welcome aboard the lifeboat. I am Captain Calhoun speaking. Welcome aboard. We have an interesting show today. I was speaking with my dad, the Admiral Tommy, this morning about a lot of things. And one of the things that came up is we get a lot of comments saying and asking him if reading into all the Diddy stuff about all this drama that's going on affects him. And the short answer is yes. The short answer is yes, it does affect him. I would like to ask the crew, once you guys all get in here, if you guys think that that reading in and listening and digesting all of this drama affects you. In fact, we will do that, I guess, here in just a minute. I'm going to let people show up. Good morning, Galen, Bill Herrera, Jane Aldrich, Nesquik Milk, TKK, Yarn Prepper. Welcome in. To the morning boat. We're going to talk about something a little bit different. We're going to get a little bit into politics, but we're not going to be divisive. We're not going to say this side's better than that side, but I am going to talk about politics a little bit today. So if that's not for you, just a little bit of warning. Again, we're not going to lose the identity of the boat today. We are about connection. We're not about division. So I just want to let you guys know, because that is my intention. My intention, if you couldn't tell by the thumbnail, we are going to talk about the drama at large. We're going to talk about whether or not this is affecting society. And I wonder it's saying whether or not, because of course it is. Of course it's affecting our society, right? It's affecting me. It's affecting you. It's affecting everyone. Half the people are against the other half of the people. All of the issues seem to be, if I believe in this, then I've got an army of people that hate me, and I've got an army of people that love me. There definitely seems to be a fine line right down the middle of people these days. And, I think it has a lot to do with the Diddy stuff. I think it has a lot to do with advertising. I think it has a lot to do with the landscape, the political landscape. All right. Welcome in, Katrina Schaff, Donna Kebab, Flick Fox. What's going on? Let's put some ones up in the chat. Matrix Rabbit, what is going on? Let's put some ones up in the chat if you think that all these political ads, this election, the Diddy stuff, the Danny Masterson stuff, this stuff, that stuff, if you think all the stuff you're seeing in the news and all in the media you consume is affecting people, if it's affecting our society, put some ones up if you think so. And it's kind of hard to talk about. Matrix Rabbit brings up a great point. I think it's kind of hard to talk about whether or not the Diddy stuff affects our society without talking about politics. I think it's very difficult to talk about that without talking about politics, because every year that we have an election, 100%, there's something crazy going on. There literally every single time is something absolutely nuts. Last election, it was the riots and the Black Lives Matter movement and all of that stuff. You guys remember that? Of course you do. When that was going on, I was living in Salt Lake, and the riots were happening like a mile from my house. I remember they were flipping cop cars right down the street. Good morning, Roberta. Life is a dreamin'. Hello, hello. Yeah, guys, and that's RSM brings up a good point. This is what this whole show is about. We would like to choose love and not hate. And I would also like to draw some similarity lines and some differences here. Anger and hate are different. Anger is something that we experience. It's natural. It can be used, for motivational purposes if we harness it properly. But hate is not something that we want to harness. Hate's not something that we want to allow to exist within us. It is the opposite of love, and it is at the core of all of these issues. Annika, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. What have you landed into, Izzy E? Well, you've landed on the lifeboat, luckily. So that's going for you. Yes, this election seems so different than the rest. Very unsettling. It definitely is taking a turn for the darker. And how could this stuff not be affecting us? I think that the whole C+ math pandemic that we went through is a great, it obviously was traumatic for a lot of people, but I think it's a great smokescreen for the trauma that we're all experiencing that is coming from other places, like our advertising, like the people that run our country, like people like Diddy, like people in the industry, right, that are running rampant and committing atrocities behind closed doors for years, for decades even. How could this possibly not affect our society? That's what I ask you. Plus 2 crochet, hello, welcome in. And we got to come back to hate versus love, right? These ads, these people like Diddy, like these 2 presidential candidates are not acting from a place of love. They're acting from a place of hate, in my opinion. And I don't necessarily think that the presidential candidates hate us. I just don't think that they care about us very much. I think that their position relies entirely upon them receiving our votes, right? So everything that they're saying is to appeal to our sensibilities, right? They would like to appeal to all of us because they need us to put them into power, right? But I don't think for a second that they give a crap. I don't think for a second. I don't think that they give any more of a crap about me and you than Diddy does, to be honest. And that is a wild comparison, I know, but it's all the same smut to me. It's all the same garbage to me. It's all designed to make me feel a certain type of way and act a certain type of way. And I'm not into it. I'm simply not into it. Kelly Ann, what is going on? Welcome in. It's always a pleasure to have you. They punctured your lip? No. I didn't mean to get so loud there, but I don't like punctured lips. I tell you what. I hope it's not too bad. Annika, we should definitely be mad at them and not each other. I agree. And look, the only solution here is love, is the opposite of hate. It is connection, right? I think that we're doing a great job here on this channel, right? With the connecting, with the love. But it's not enough to just do it on the lifeboat. We have to carry this energy out into our days. We have to carry this energy out into our own private lives and spread it. That's the only way that it's going to get bigger. That's the only way that we're going to enact change. I think that as time goes on, if we were to picture like a ratio of people or 2 bubbles, right? This bubble has hateful people and this bubble has loving people. And there's, I don't know how many people are in each bubble, but I bet you the loving bubble is getting bigger and I bet you the hateful bubble is shrinking. I would put money on that. I would put good money on that. And if that's the case, we just need to keep doing what we're doing, right? But don't let the veil be pulled over your eyes. See through what's going on. This is a bunch of BS. It is a bunch of crap. The Diddy stuff, in the same way that the political ads in the presidential race are BS. It's all the same brand of surstroming. It's all the same crap. Divide and conquer. Bill Herrera is correct. Divide and conquer is the way we've been taking over countries for years and years and years. And when I say we, I just mean humans. Humans have been dividing and conquering each other since time immemorial. And, in today's world, there's so much going on, so much to distract us. It's easy to forget that we're just colonialists still. We're just trying to, what's the other way to say that? Imperial? We're just trying to spread the imperial banner. When I say we, I don't mean me and you. I mean the people in charge of the countries, right? The people that are making decisions for countries just want more for themselves, which is very interesting. You think after all this time we would just want to coexist a little happier because we're all here. We're not going anywhere. Even if we committed a genocide, they're still there. They're going to exist, right? It's never happened. It's never successfully happened, right? So I don't think it's realistic to think that these people that may be bothering me aren't going to be there anymore, right? We need to learn to coexist. We need to learn to love each other, to see things through each other's eyes. We don't have to agree, right? But part of the beauty of the world is that we all have our own unique experiences. We all have walked our own unique paths, which serves to form our unique perspective, right? So if I see something differently than you do, that's a good thing, not a bad thing. Right? The issue itself that we're not seeing the same doesn't need to divide us. We allow it to, right? Whether or not I've tried to think up the most divisive possible issue, and I don't think it's going to serve, but how we feel about What am I trying to say? I'll just say it. How I feel about abortion, or how I feel about, what's the other thing? The border crisis. There's so many things in the news and in the ads right now that are just constantly serving to divide me. It doesn't matter how I feel about that, right? I mean, it does matter, but how I feel about that in relation to how you feel about that doesn't matter, because we can disagree, right? We can believe in different things. The problem therein lies when the powers that be make you believe that like not believing in something a certain way is going to, what am I trying to say? These issues are becoming charged. Even if it doesn't affect you, it does now, because they've made it that way, is what I'm trying to say, right? And I'm not saying like dudes shouldn't care about the abortion issue. What I'm saying is that regardless of how I feel about the issue, now how I feel about the issue is like my social value, and in a lot of circles. Does that make sense? Which shouldn't be, right? We all can believe in different things. That's okay. So how do we get from it's okay to be believing different things to, if you believe this, I hate you and I can't stand your guts, because I can't possibly understand how someone could believe that. And that's what's happening, right? We're breaking down, like, seeing different positions as okay into different positions are scum, right? Everyone needs to believe this, and which, by the way, is fascism. Say what you want about this candidate, say what you want about this candidate, right? But I think a lot of aspects of our government, and now I'm only speaking about the US because I haven't left the US. I don't know about other places, but at least here, there are a lot of aspects of our system that are quite fascist, quite communist, quite socialist. We're not necessarily what we used to be. We're not what we set out to be in the beginning, which, change happens. It's like when a band comes out, their first album is always their best album, right? That's because they have to change and grow. They can't play the same album for 10 years, right? It's the same kind of concept. We can't have the same system for 10 years the time example there was bad, but it's going to change and evolve over time, right? And I think that's natural, but we need to grow and evolve with it. We need to give each other grace, right? What you do behind closed doors is none of my business, and vice versa. But I will say, like, you are my neighbor, whether you're physically next door or whether you're tuning into the lifeboat from somewhere in the comfort of your own home. We are neighbors. We are peers. There is more that connects us than that divides us. And that's 100%. There's no doubt. There is more that connects us than divides us. We only allow ourselves to be divided, right? We only allow ourselves to be divided. And again, coming back to these very, very volatile issues, maybe it's probably going to be difficult to move out of that space where that feels charged, which is also okay, and I think natural. But instead of just trying to let go of that tension, why don't we just slowly show each other grace, right? One piece at a time, one instance at a time. I don't necessarily need to agree with how my neighbors or my peers feel about abortion or the border crisis, but we can agree on a ton of stuff. We can agree that good is good and bad is bad, right? There's a ton of things that we can agree on. And I think we focus on those things. And the things that we disagree on, we can just keep to our damn selves. You know what I mean? Like, if we know that this is a divisive issue, let's show someone some grace and not bring it up, right? It's like, okay, I know that this is a little bit charged. Maybe we don't want to start a fight right now, right? And also, it's worth noting, we're all healing from quite a bit of trauma and damage. And I don't think the trauma and damage stops, right? I just think it changes faces. I think that we should also show each other quite a bit of grace, just because we're all healing, right? We've all experienced traumatic things. And when I say it in this sense, I mean, these ads, this Diddy thing, the Danny Masterson thing, all of these things that are happening in our society are traumatizing, right? You put some ones up if you think that these things are traumatizing. Let's take it a step further, huh? I think that not only are these issues affecting all of us, but they're affecting all of us deeply, deeper than we can possibly understand. Thanks for being here, everyone. Just catching my breath and gathering my thoughts here. Thank you for the gifted memberships, Galen. Much love. I much appreciate that. At the end of musing, hello, hello. Getting colorful today. James Sharp, good to see you. James Collins, hello, hello. Johnny. Bill Herrera, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your support. It makes a big difference, I tell you what. Encarnasoul, Legalize Freedom. I like that name. Where do I go from here, huh? Well. A lot to think about. I almost came on late because there were so many thoughts swirling in my head. I didn't even know where to start. But often when that happens, I just need to hit the button and jump in and figure it out. And that helps me a lot. But then I'll have moments like this where it's like, okay, well, what did I say and what did I not say? I just kind of ranted for 16 minutes. That's okay though. It was good listening. Do not confuse notoriety and fame with greatness, says Kellyanne. Greatness can crown the head of a janitor just as readily as someone of high rank. I love your quotes. And Kellyanne is leading me down the path that I need to go on right now. This is where I need to go. Kellyanne says, we become what we eat. It becomes a part of us. A lot of us are consuming too much media and negativity. And what we consume definitely comes down to also what I'm watching, right? What I'm consuming, garbage in, garbage out, right? I try to tune in to stuff that's not so low on the totem pole. And when I say that, I mean, I try to not consume garbage, right? We could even talk about the troll channels for a second, right? That's complete garbage. And honestly, I don't think it's any different from watching the news often these days. It's very hard for me to watch a news outlet or a political ad or any ad really and not feel like the deliberate plucking of my heartstrings, right? Someone is deliberately trying to manipulate me and to feel a certain type of way with these ads or with this news, with this story. And it blows my mind and it drives me up the wall. It drives me absolutely nuts. And the more I notice, the harder it is to ignore, which is quite the phenomena. Eh? Tommy Bird, what's going on? Jeremy Fowler, hello. Izzy E says the pandemic stole so much from me. As you said, anger is fuel. I'm using it to help other moms who don't have a village because I know the feeling of taking care of things, knowing no one will help. I'm glad that you're not in that position anymore, Izzy, and I'm also super stoked to know that you're using your newfound foundation to help others in need. That makes me really happy. Ripples be rippling, if you know what I mean. Balance says be, just be. Sometimes I like to just be, you know? Yeah, you single moms, single parents out there, you guys are the real heroes. You guys are the real heroes. I tell you what. Wow, I really ran out of steam so quick there. I have more to say. So again, if this is affecting our society, which of course it is, what do we do, right? How do we move forward? Well, I think we need to the first step is identifying that it's garbage, right? And the second step is not forgetting that it's garbage. And then the third step is where the real work comes in. And that's, we see it for what it is, right? That was steps 1 and 2. So now that we see it for what it is, we can attempt to protect ourselves, not let it affect us. We can move in love, right? In connection, and forsake that hate crap, right? And also, it's worth noting, participation is a big deal as well, right? That's part of how we get indoctrinated. That's a part of how we get so far away from remembering what the truth is. when we start participating, they will pull our heartstrings, and then it'll move us to action, and then we're involved. Does that make sense? So like the riots in Salt Lake a few years back, for example, I heard about them. Me and my buddies were like, oh, let's go, do bad things. But and then they actually they went out and did it, right? You get whipped up in a tornado and then realize, oh, I'm flipping a cop car. And I didn't participate. I'm not saying that, but what I'm illustrating how easy it is to go from being incited to being the inciter yourself. Like from hearing about something on the news to taking action. It can happen very quickly and very easily. And that's the idea. That's what these ads are designed to do, is to whip you up into feeling some type of way, right? Move you to action. I forgot why I was talking about that. My brain this morning. We identify and observe it is for what it is. What it is for what we observe that it's BS. Okay. And now we get to move in a different direction, right? I hear about what's going on. I understand what's going on, and I don't participate. In fact, I do the opposite of participate, right? I educate those around me that might not know as to what's actually going on. Like, hey, we shouldn't participate in this. This is a travesty, et cetera, right? And be a role model for those around you, whether they're your peers, your kids, right? Whether they're older than you, your elders, it doesn't matter. Obviously, you want to take a different approach when educating your elders, right? That's kind of a weird place to be, and honestly a difficult endeavor, but we can just approach that a little bit differently and do our due diligence, right? Impart some knowledge very gracefully, nicely. James Collins says, yet was raised by my mom in the hood and she did her best. Huge respect for single parents. I tell you what, man, angels. I think this is really good too, Kellyanne. It takes two different teams to play a game together. The purpose of the differences are to keep each team in check and balance. The world is still healing from a lot of trauma brought on by the pandemic. I was saying it earlier, and I'll say it again, I think the pandemic covers up a lot of other stuff that was going on as far as trauma that we're experiencing. I think that it was definitely a traumatic experience and a traumatic time, but I think that a lot of other stuff was happening right around the same time that we are just not realizing affected us, which is pretty wild to understand. I feel like what if our world didn't have all this trauma and BS, right? Would it be a better place? I definitely feel like the drama and the BS, the obstacles that we have to surmount, serve to make us better and stronger. If we didn't have that adversity, would the world would we still be great? I don't know. I think it would be so different, it would be hard to perceive from this point of view. But it is a thought. It is a thought that I have often. Lehigh Valley just got on the boat. When you say Lehigh, are you talking about, they spell it different in, Pennsylvania. Let's go. Okay. There's a place called Lehigh in Utah. Welcome aboard. I'm glad you're here. And I'm from Utah, so that gave me a double take for a second. Also, shout out to married single parents who are navigating all the parental, responsibilities on their own despite being in relationships. I see you and you matter. Well, thanks, Izzy. You are a sweetheart. I hate talking about stuff like this. You guys know that? I think that's one of the reasons I lose steam. It's like I'll get on in my zone, in my mode, and I'll start, ranting and talking and saying how I feel. But then I realize I don't like feeling like this. And I don't like talking about it. And I back off a little bit, and then it's hard to get back in the groove. Full disclosure. I absolutely hate talking about this stuff. But if we don't talk about it, it's not going to get talked about. Does that make sense? Right? Like we literally need to talk about the stuff that's hard to talk about. That's why I'm coming on here and doing it. I don't want to do this, but we literally need to. If we don't talk about it, it's not going to get talked about. And then we're all just going to get swept up in the, the proverbial broom, and we're just going to get manipulated. And I'm not into that. I'm really not into that. I care about you. I care about me. I care about my peers. I care about us. I care about people. I care about humans. I care about things that are worth caring about, and I try not to care about the things that aren't. So it's important to me, to me, to come on here and say these things, because I don't know who's just got back from voting. Let's go. My dad's going to take me later today. He was supposed to take me yesterday, but we forgot. So I'm looking forward to it. Almost every state in the union has a Greenville. Interesting. Very interesting. Do you know there's a place called Frankfurt in the United States? I'm pretty sure. Frankfurter or something like that. We have some interesting states or cities. Flick Fox says, I was so hoping the pandemic would unite us, that we'd come together for the collective, even if that meant following restrictions that were hard. My granddad said World War II was easier and he got bombed. Interesting. It's pretty wild statement from your granddad. I think that it's going to take more than the pandemic to bring us together. It might take an alien invasion, But honestly, we are coming together pretty well in our own little pockets and groups. It's filling in the blanks. We obviously don't all need to be together, right? But like the ability to connect with your peers is a boon, right? The ability to feel connection rather than division on the fly when you need it is a boon, right? We don't need to love each other all the time. We don't need to be friends all the time. We don't need to all be together, but the ability to put aside division and to put aside hate, even for a moment, is powerful, and it's necessary for us to move forward from the place that we are. That's how I feel about that. That is how I feel about that. Shauna B, good to see you. Jane Aldritz, good to see you. Mimi Pacheco, fortunately, my husband and I agree on who to vote for, but we wonder, how do marriages handle if they disagree on who to vote for? 100%, I bet a big deal. I bet you this is a huge point of contention in a lot of marriages. I mean, if the political ads are to be taken at face value, which they should not, by the way, but if they were to be, it would pretty much look like one candidate is for women and one candidate is for men. Doesn't it look that way? If you just take it all at face value, doesn't it look like one of these people hates women and one of these people hates men, or vice versa, right? One of these people really, really cares about men and one of them really, really cares about women. That's certainly what it seems like. They can't possibly both be complete sexists, right? And if hypothetically, what if they are, and these are our two candidates? Come on. So I think that it can't possibly both be sexist. So that means that we're being manipulated, and there's narratives being put forth that say this person is this way and this person's this way. And some of it's true, some of it's not. It's pretty wild. So from a marriage standpoint, me and my significant other, if we're both taking the ads at face value, probably are voting for someone different. You know what I mean? Hopefully, you have yourself a partner. Y'all are both critically thinking, and you're both communicating with each other because you love each other and finding a way to come together on this, right? Ideally. But I definitely imagine that it is a problem for a lot of people right now. "100% SP in today's time. Why would you be against each other? 100%. 100%, right? Why? Like, it's not real. It's not realistic. I also think both parties, right, stand like they have a lot of things under their umbrella, right? And some of them I agree with and some of them I don't on both sides. But like, why does this collection of beliefs need to all be together under each party, right? Why I have to believe in all this stuff or all this stuff? I can't just believe in some of this and some of this and some, they're trying to enforce this black and white thinking, this all or nothing thinking, and this division. It is hard to ignore at this point. And I'm not coming on here with any solutions other than like, don't buy into it, right? Live in love. Do not hate your neighbor. And if your neighbor strikes you, turn him the other cheek, right? I don't know if that's how the quote goes, but you know, try not to react, try to act, right? Try to plan, try not to hate, try to love. It's literally that simple. It just comes down to little moments in my life where I'm feeling emotional. It just comes down to little moments in my life where I make decisions, right? No matter how big or small the decision is, no matter where I'm at, what the setting is, it just comes down to these little decisions that I make, whether I'm choosing love or hate, whether I'm giving into these negative emotions, right, and letting them run me, whether I'm giving into the division, right, or if I'm choosing to stay balanced and stay loving and be as forgiving as I possibly can. I do not forget, but I do forgive, right? I forgive Lucy. For those of you that have been around a long time, you know this is my ex that I had a lot of problems with. And we also almost rode off into the sunset, right? It could have been very good, and it was for a while. But I forgive her for all the things that she did. And you know, my side of the street's not clean, right? I definitely had parts in that were bad. But I do not forget what she did. You know, I do not forget the places that we dragged ourselves to, the depths that we delved. But I do forgive, because that's for me. Forgiveness is for me. And forgetting is for the birds. Lisa Trimble, what is going on? It has been a while. Welcome aboard. I missed you. I hope this message finds you well today, Lisa. I know the message at large is kind of speckled with poop dust, but overall, I hope it's good. Connection is the answer. Humans are insanely resilient, says Kellyanne. I chose to believe in the goodness of people despite differences. Some of you have to love. Some you have to love from a distance, but the goodwill towards them can still be present. 100%. And I 100% love Lucy from a distance, but I don't think that I can handle being around her or having like a relationship with her, even if it's just like a friendship. Like when she'll text me and I'll like have a really hard time responding. I have emotional reactions just from it. It's very, very strange. I mean, we shared a lot, right? But anyways, I digress. That's beside the point. End of Musing ran a polling booth in Australia and had to fire a staff member who was, say, mid-60s because he was campaigning while checking names. Wow. Yeah, that's against the rules. You can't do that. Yeah, she's definitely triggering for me, SP. And I hope one day she won't be. It would be cool to be able to be friends and maintain our own bubbles and not have them merge together. Yeah, that's a good idea, Izzy. I think I should. That was a good one. Sometimes I just come off the hip with some good stuff, you know? I had her blocked, but I unblocked her because she kept reaching out to my family instead of just accepting it. So now I have the channels open so she doesn't bother my family. I can just shoulder the burden. It doesn't trigger me that hard. James Collins says, we come from a long line of survivors. Since the dawn of time, our families have survived floods, famines, wildfire, and war. So believe me, we can survive the chaos of today. I agree. I definitely agree. And I mean, we already are, you know, we're already doing it. We're doing pretty good. Life's not bad, guys, you know? But I wonder how long I could have gone without talking about all this stuff. Because literally, it drives me up the wall. I'll be sitting here doing research for a show, which doing research for Diddy stuff or the YSL stuff is like consuming garbage. I'm just consuming garbage, reading about all the stuff that these people did. But also, what was I talking about? I lost my place again. Son of a biscuit-eating bulldog. It's gone. It's okay. I don't care. Letting it go. You know what's funny about this, SP? We can talk about it some more. She had a complex about narcissists. And when I say complex, maybe that's not fair of me to say. But Lucy definitely had a lot to say about narcissists. And she definitely has some close in her life. And for me to judge whether someone is a narcissist, I don't think I'm very good at doing that. So I'm not going to say that this person and this person and this person were narcissists, but she would say that this person and this person and this person are narcissists a lot. And there seemed to be some damage or some trauma related to interactions with narcissists. I know her ex, before her and I got together, was allegedly a narcissist. And her mother also allegedly a narcissist. And I believe her. I have a hard time drawing those conclusions. And I can't remember why. It's been a while since I've attempted to diagnose narcissism. But that being said, I think that there was definitely some of this going on, and she was definitely the town crier. She was out there, read all about it. Extra, extra, narcissistic personality disorder. What she was definitely, she never shied away from speaking her truth. Let's say that. She never, ever, not even once, not even for a second, which was something that I really liked about her. Although it would often manifest itself in very, very poor ways. It often, I think, would work against her. But I have faith one day she will harness that ability to speak her truth in a productive manner. Because the way that it would manifest wasn't very effective. And I can't really say why. I don't know why. And that was one of the things, like the things that divided Lucy and I were so subtle. It was so hard to put my finger on. And maybe that's because I'm emotionally attached to it, right? And it's hard to see clearly when I'm emotional. But man, it was so hard to fix the problems that we had because I couldn't even see the root of them. I didn't understand. I still to this day often don't understand why we had the issues that we did. So that's interesting. That's an interesting little rabbit hole of memory lane we just went down, huh? No, it's not upsetting, SP. It's just hard to not talk about when I see it. So, because then it's thought provoking, and then that's what's in my head, and then I have to say it because it's in my head in order to get to what's under it. Just crazy, crazy brain thoughts. Matrix Rabbit. If you can dream it, be it. I like that a lot. And this may be the case. She was very powerful, I have to say. She was very strong in a lot of different ways. Very, very strong person. In fact, in a lot of ways, I can't tell if she experiences emotions differently than me, or if she's just stronger and comes back quicker. Because we would have problems, and it would take me a lot longer to come back to being normal and to being okay than it would her. And I guess that wasn't always the case. Sometimes we would role swap in that position, but I definitely, if she created them, that would make sense why it was easier to come back. But I don't, going down this rabbit hole won't necessarily serve to help me, won't serve me. So I might just cut it right now. When I say cut it, I might just stop thinking about this stuff because I don't think it's productive for me. Christy Anise has a question. Why is it hard for people to adult these days? Holding yourself accountable and responsible. Don't Homo sapiens have opposable thumbs, which means we can think and adapt? Yes. I often wonder this as well, though. And when I say that, it's hard for me to adult often, and I don't know why. And I don't have an answer for you, Christy. I think that the world is a very different place than it was, 20, 30, 40 years ago. But I don't know in what ways that contributes to this phenomenon. I don't know. I mean, it's obviously generational, right? It's obviously a difference between the newer generations and the older generations. But what exactly caused that difference, right? It definitely seems like a difference in perspective. Another Maria says cognitive dissonance. I think there are a lot of contributing factors to this, but at the end of the day, it's definitely in our heads and it's a perspective thing. Because I can shift my perspective if I try really hard, and then I can adult really well. Now, this is something that we could talk about ad nauseum. Maybe I should do a whole show on this. Dale Cox, what's going on? Good to see you, dude. Missed you yesterday. Spike, what's going on? Welcome back. Good to see you. Always a pleasure, Spike. Very thought-provoking episode this morning, guys. Holy crap. I got all kinds of stuff flying around my head. I got Lucy up there. I got Trump. I got Kamala. I got Diddy in there just freaking off, There's all kinds of wild stuff in my head right now. Critical thinking is a great thing to teach in schools that they definitely don't. Here in the US, they teach you to be on time and to remember things. I know that there's a lot more that goes into that, but generally, they're teaching you to show up on time and to remember things for the test, which is wild to me. They're teaching me how to be a nice worker bee. They're teaching me how to be a good cog in the machine, and I don't like that. I heard in Norway, when you're very young, they let you choose what you want to be learning. And I don't know exactly what goes into that or if that's still the case. But man, what a novel concept. Let the kids decide what they want to learn. What a crazy idea. I wonder how that went for them, or how it's going, I guess. Sassy's dad, Conroe, what's going on? Good morning from the Houston area. I was born in Nassau Bay, dude. That's so cool. I was born at the hospital right by NASA. I still got family down there in Seabrook. Shout out to Houston. Have a great day, Spike. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us, yo. Where nonprofits are diagnosing others? Oh, non-professors? What's the prof's word shortened? In my honest opinion, Jane says, and this is not connected to anything that's been said here, it seems like everywhere I turn, there are headlines and comments and articles where non-profs are diagnosing others. Why is that okay? What's going on, Tampa B? Peter Birdsall. What do you mean by profs, Jane? Professionals are diagnosing others. Interesting. Well, I'm pretty sure that there was a change in laws where you can slander people in advertisements now. And I also don't remember the difference between slander and libel. One of them is written and one of them is spoken. I don't know which one's which. But you can lie in professional advertisements now. It's no longer illegal. And I don't know exactly when that changed or what exactly the change was. But in effect, that's why all these ads are so crazy now. That's why they don't have to be held accountable anymore. So I think that the new advertising, the new business advertising model is to disparage your competition. Right? In court, that's one way to go about winning a case, is to disparage let's say there's a doctor that made a critical diagnosis, right? That for the evidence of the prosecution. Well, if we debunk that doctor, right? Okay, well, this doctor is actually not a doctor. All of a sudden that evidence goes out the window, right? So disparaging one's opponents or disparaging one's experts, right, is a great way to take all the credibility out of something. So I think that is exactly what you're seeing here, Jane. I think you're seeing people trying to disparage their competition so that they can rise above, step over the dead bodies of their opposition, right? Not necessarily dead bodies, right? But you know, they would like to step on the heads of their peers to get ahead. But it's also everyone's doing it now, right? It's literally every ad you see is telling some lies these days. It's very, very interesting. It's very interesting. You know, they have said for a long time not to believe everything you see on the TV or the internet. It is more and more true every single day. Nice flick. Good for you. Standing up to ugly people, to mean folks. Yeah, and you know, Crucial Flow research has a great point. This has been the case for a long time. This has been standard operating procedure, stepping on others to get ahead, for a very long time. And you know, that's also something that I'd like to change, right? And I don't think that I'm going to be able to enact this change all by myself, but I think the little actions that I take and the decisions that I make on a daily basis, coupled with the decisions that you're making on a daily basis, I think when combined, when you add it all up, it's quite a bit of decisions and quite a bit of power, quite a bit of change, right? We're not going to be able to change the world, but we can change the area around us, right? We can change what's right in front of me right now, you know? And I think that's where real change comes from, is little ripples, little butterfly effects, everyone just doing their own part, you know, caring enough. You know, when I was younger, I used to litter because I thought, whatever, I'm not going to have to deal with it. Well, that's the kind of thinking that multiplies. And if everyone's thinking that way, then everyone's littering and everyone's going to have to deal with it, right? If we all just do our best, if we all just do our part, right? Pick up a little bit of trash or be nice instead of mean in any case or scenario, that multiplies and has ripple effects, butterfly effect, right? All we have to do is our own best. That's all. It's really not a big deal. It's not, it's not a lot. It's just my best. You know, I'm just doing a little bit. And if all of us are doing our best just a little bit, I think that is how change is enacted, right? If we're all moving towards love just a little bit, if we're all choosing love over hate just a little bit, you know, it's not rocket science, guys. And I think that a lot of us have been letting this slide for a long, long time, me included. I think a lot of us have been acting like maybe I'm the only driver on the road, you know, for a long time. And I don't think that that's how we get to move forward. I think that we leave that behind us. Galen says this chat proves we can talk about some divisive issues and not get mean to each other. Absolutely. You know, and I don't necessarily think we're going to have conversations like this all the time, but this is a place where we can, right? I think that if we had conversations like this all the time, it would change the landscape of the boat, and I'm never going to let that happen. But yes, I love that you point this out, Galen. I take it for granted because this, like, I don't know, I come here all the time. But you're right. You are right. This is a very safe place where no one's hating on each other, which is really cool. I haven't had to ban one person today. We need to honestly and openly reason, not vainly debate, like a peeing contest, says Peter. Absolutely. And, you know, honestly, I don't think I'm prepared to facilitate any sort of debate, but we can discuss some issues. So this is the part where I thank you all for showing up here and supporting me. And I'm really stoked how this turned out. I was a little nervous. Like I was saying, I did not want to talk about this, but I felt like it needed to be talked about. So thanks for showing up for it. Thanks for dealing with it, putting up with me. Just kidding. I know you guys love me. But yeah, hit that like, subscribe, the bell for notifications if you like what we do here. It makes a huge difference. And, you know, just move in love today, yo. Just choose love over hate, especially in those moments where I feel reacting, right? Someone got a rise out of me. Some situation got me all, you know, reactionary. Don't react, right? Just put that aside for a moment and identify love and move towards it. And that's how we're going to move forward, moving forward. That's how we're going to handle things going forward, guys. And, you know, obviously we can't be perfect. Show yourself some grace too. We all make mistakes, but, you know, if you just choose a little bit of love right now and a little bit of love next time and a little bit of love after that, every single time, just a little bit of love, the best you can, the world will change. Your world will immediately change, and the worlds around you will also change, if that makes sense. James Collins, man, much love, dude. I'm so glad you're a part of the boat. One of my new favorite people for sure. Super stoked. Bernita Jenkins, cheers from OZ. What's going on? From Oz. Tammy Hinton. And amusing. I always wonder how you're doing when you're not here, and amusing. I'm glad you got here. I'm glad you showed up today. Much love out to the Australia. Bill Herrera, I appreciate you, my brother. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. East Oakland, just in time to sign off. It's good to see you, though. We will be live in about an hour. My dad's going to come on and do the thing. You guys know the deal. So, yeah, catch the Admiral in about an hour, and I will, if I'm not painting later, we will be painting tomorrow. I don't have new canvases, so I'm probably just going to touch up and fart around with what we have already done. On that note, quickly before I go, I'm realizing I've been watching other painters and looking at other paintings and other styles and whatnot. There are some things that I can get that will help me out a lot, like different brush shapes and sizes. And I've been thinking about the way that I'm painting a lot. So I'm really excited to do a fresh one on a bigger canvas. But that being said, all that's for the birds. We're going to figure it out as we go. You guys have a wonderful day. This has been Captain Calhoun on the lifeboat. Much love, everyone. That's not the button.